Hello friends, today we shall see another interesting video on how to connect to backend database from JavaFX and display the data in a tabular form. In my previous video, I showed you how to get data onto text fields and display one record at a time. But this exercise would be very useful if you want to get a full view of the data that is there in a database. So at the end of the session, we should be able to see an application which displays your data in a tabular form like the way it is coming up now. So as you can see, you have a table here with table columns and the data is coming from MySQL database. So on click of a button, it only changes the label which shows the data that is being displayed is the data which is currently coming from the MySQL database. So how can such an application be built from the beginning? So let's begin. You start a new project in IntelliJ. Of course, you can use an ID of your choice. So when you choose a project, choose a project type as JavaFX, give some name table view 1 and see that you have chosen Maven project or the build system is Maven because we'll be downloading MySQL driver using form.xml and don't forget to click on these libraries which we'll be using in our application. So you open the project in a new window. So when the application loads in the source folder, you will see a couple of files already in your application. If you scroll down, you will see in the package there is a hello application which loads the uh, fxml file, and there is a controller which controls the way the data is displayed on the screen. So in the resources folder you have the fxml file. So if you want to make any changes to this, you can use the screen builder. You can open the scene builder. It opens up with a small window. You can enlarge it to the size that you want, and by default if you see there are two controls here, one is label, the other one is button. Right now they are showing up at the center. That is because the form alignment is center. You can change it to top left so that the elements appear on the left hand side top corner. So you can enlarge the label both vertically as well as horizontally. You can enlarge the button both horizontally as well as vertically. You can change the font of your choice. Just scroll down, choose anything that is interesting to you, and then change the label size. Now it is showing the product list. If you wish, you can change the color of this, maybe to something like blue. Yeah. And if you want to change the form background, you can go down to the style, and if you observe there are some CSS tags which you can use the background color. Now to choose an appropriate color, what you can do is you can go to uh, Google and you choose an appropriate color that is given here. For instance, you want this color, so the hex code is just below given here is the hexadecimal number, which you just got to go to your screen builder and copy here. So the moment you do that, you'll see that the screen color has changed. Similarly, you can change the color of this. You can choose some red color and change your font accordingly, slightly bigger one. If it exceeds the size of the button, it will show dot dot. you can say show, and to link it to the code, you can change the function name. But yeah, I think so it's not shrinking. Then you need a table view, which you can select from the control list. Go to table view here. You can just click and drag it onto your phone and enlarge it to the size. If you want, you can change the width of this a little bit. Yeah, and you are not interested in the columns which are added here. You can delete them, because I want to add these columns through the program. Yeah. Now your user interface is ready. You just got to save it. And before we move on to the other part, you have to give a ID to this. You can call it as my table. These IDs are important because I'll be using some of these IDs when I go to my code. So when you get back to your code, you have a hello controller. Uh, if you remember, we changed this on hello button click to something else. If you go back to your fxml file and observe, a lot of these new things have been added. As you can see, on action is show my data. So you just say control enter and it will automatically create show my data event as against this event, which is no longer valid. You can just take this off. However, the welcome test which was there, it is the same. You can set text to uh, showing product info. Okay, so on click of the button, you will get this label changed to showing product info. Now coming to the controller part of it, you have to add the table using fxml annotation. So private table view, and you can call it as my table because that is how we have named it. Then you require one variable called as observable list. This is required because we will be loading the data from mysql, and if any changes happen to the data, it will be reflected. uh, it will lead to a trigger, and you can know that some data has changed. So this is the way you get your data here. Now the next thing is to connect to database, you need to take help of another class which you call it as db connect. You can name it anyhow, and here we are going to have a connection object which is provided by Java SQL library. So we have to import java.sql.star. It will show red color because it needs to be added to the module. So you just alt enter and just add this required statement in the module info Java, so that this becomes available. And we require a statement reference variable here, statement and also result set rs. You can add a constructor in which you will establish the connection and do a lot of stuff. So go to constructor and then add a default constructor. We don't want any parameterized constructor. Now we'll be making connections, and these connections sometimes may fail. So you have to throw some exceptions. So first thing is catch SQL exception, SE, then sort it to string. Similarly, you'll be loading a driver class, so we'll be catching another error called class not found exception. cn. This also you can shout cn dot toString. Yeah, now it's showing red line because you are not executing any meaningful code here. Now to connect to database, you have some standard code that you might be using. So you just got to search on the net and copy paste. Just you have to load the driver and establish a connection. So I'm just taking it some ready-made code here. So as you can see, this will load the MySQL driver and try to establish a connection given the credentials, like MySQL is running at 3306 port and it is connecting to shopping cart database with username as root and password as null. So once the connection happens, you can give a message connected to MySQL. Okay, and then you can create an empty statement using the connection create a statement, and you can get the data by executing a query here, query execute query, and then you can say select star from products. So I have a table products in my database, and it has 4 or 5 columns: PID, PName, price, and category, etc. So my database connection part is over, but we'll be accessing the result set outside of this class. So I can put a getter for that. So what I do is I generate a getter, and I do it only for the result set because that is the one which will help me to get the data. Yeah. Now this part is over, but still some more groundwork we need to do. As I told you, we need to install MySQL driver, and since you have chosen project type as Maven, automatically this pom.xml has come, and if you scroll down, you will see a lot of dependency entries are here. If you want MySQL driver, all that you have to do is go to your Maven repository and search for MySQL. You just go to Maven repository and search for this driver, and if you locate this, you will have the dependency file which you copy and paste it here. So this is a routine thing which we'll be doing in any project which wants to connect to my database. And the next thing is update your uh, driver list, so the driver becomes part of your project. So that's we are done with all the necessary things. So now coming to the controller has to implement there is a interface called as initializable. So the advantage of using is it will come up with a default method which you have to override. It's called initialize. So this is the code which automatically runs when you run the controller, where some initialization can be done. So first thing is we need to define the columns of the table. So table column PID equal to new table column, where you specify PID, put a semicolon. Now I'll be putting 4 columns here, so I simply copy paste and 5 times or 4 times, as many times as you want. I think so that we have 4 columns here. So the next column which I want is pname, pname here, or you can say product name. Then we want to display the price, and then we want to display the category to which the product belongs to. So here it should be category, here it should be price. So we have these columns here, and we know that we have a table view which is my table. So I need to add these columns to that. So my table dot get all columns, or get columns add all. So we have to add each of the column one by one: PID, comma, pname, comma, price, comma, category. right? So we have added the columns. If you try to run this application, before that we need to configure this as an application and mention the main class which contains the driver code. So once you do that, your application tends to run. As you can see, we get a small window because the window size is set by the hello application, where I can change it to, let us say, around 720 and 540 like that. So if I run now, you will have a bigger window with larger width and height. So now you can clearly see that the table columns are all set. However, the database connection, though it has happened, we are not yet populating the table with the data. So if I click on the show button, we'll see showing product info because we have written the code for this. So let's now see how I can populate my table with the data which I have. For this, we need to do a lot of things here. First thing is we need to create our data using uh, fx collection dot observable array list. The result set here in private because it can be used in some other part of the code. So rs is equal to, sorry, result set rs. As we need to instantiate, create an object of dbconnect, new dbconnect. So this will initialize everything and makes it available. So db dot get rs will get you the result set which contains the data about the products. So while rs has not reached the end of the file, this is the method. Yeah, we need to extract each part. So what I can do is integer pid1 uh, rs dot getInt 1, then string pname1 equal to rs dot get string column 2 because it is a string column. Then we have float price1 rs dot get float 3, and then string category 1 equal to rs dot get string 4. You might be wondering why I'm naming them as PID1, PNAME1, because if you observe, we already named the table columns as PID, PNAME like that. So I'm naming them differently. So once you read this data elements, we just got to add them to the data. So data dot add new. Yeah, now there is one more thing that you have to model the uh, data using another class which I forgot. You just have to add another class called product, and this product contains exactly the same columns as the table. So here it will be integer PID, then string pname, then float price, then string category, right? And then you have to have a constructor for this. You just generate the constructor including all the data elements. Then you need to have getters and setters. So you need to generate getter for this and again getter for all of them because we'll be reading the data from these columns. So we need this, and also sometimes we may have to update the columns. So sorry, not constructor. we need to add the setter now for all of them. Okay, so we are done. We just got to do this routinely. Here we have to is equal to new product, and within this we have to pass PID1, PName, price, sorry, PName1, comma, price1, comma, category 1. So this will ensure that all the data from the table will be added to the data list. Now it's showing some red line here because we have to try and catch this error while reading. So again, it will throw an SQL exception if at all any. So we have to do this routinely so that any error while reading is caught by SQL exception. See, when you try to read beyond the end of file, so some exception will be thrown. So that's why this is important. Okay, so now we have our data is ready in my data model. The next thing is we need to bind the columns of the table with the table. So what we need, take your PID, set cell value factory, new property, property factory value, where you say product and the type of this thing, integer, and the column which you bind, there is PID. Okay, so there should be a semicolon. So this you have to do for all the columns, which I do it by copy pasting. So I will do it for pname now. Pname, price, and then category, and here it should be product string, and this should be pname, this should be price, and this should be float, and this should be string. So you have to remember the column data types when you created the table. So here it should be category. So we're almost done. Now once the columns are bound to the table columns, next thing is you just got to use my table and say set items and save data. So that's it. So it will show the data in the tabular form. So now if I run the program, hopefully it will go through nicely and display the data from the products. As you can see, it's connected to MySQL and the data is coming from the MySQL database. And if you say, hope the video was interesting to you. If you like the video, you click on like icon and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.